Aloha, everyone. Happy Aloha Friday. I'm your host, Dylan Chase Lee. And welcome to our 17th installment of Manoa Valley Theater Live. We have an excellent show for today for you folks. But without further ado, let's bring out our main man himself, Kip Wilborn. Kip, how are you doing?
Aloha. Aloha, everyone. I hope you're doing well today on our 17th episode on the 17th. Yes, we planned it that way. Yes, twice, right? That's twice we've done that. I forget which one was the one before. It's the 6th or something like that.
Well, I'm not sure. I haven't been keeping track, but we did not plan this. We did not plan this.
No, we did not. As much as we'd like to take credit for anything that goes right.
So, sorry. Go
ahead.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say that we have a not a weird show today, but I won't be doing the hosting today. I'm going to allow Kip to be doing the hosting today. So as per trade, as fairness, I get to do the update today.
All right. I'm glad to know that I'm weird, though. That's good to know.
We're both weird. Everything is weird.
True that.
Yeah. All right. So a couple of updates for the theater. Thank you to the Hawaii Community Reinvestment Corporation. Due to their help, we are able to get our AC installed so that when you folks come back to the theater, we won't have to open up all the doors and pass out fans or bottles of water like the last show of a Rocky Horror Picture Show. But yeah, so get some cool down in there. And now when I'm building the set, I won't be sweating like a pig. Also, another announcement. If you folks are interested in watching the Po'okelas will be happening virtually on August 10th. So please tune in and see the shows that got adjudicated and see how they fared. And like Kyoki and Jody, right? Kyoki and Jody usually post it.
Yeah.
As they usually say, you get chance. So don't miss your chance.
You like chance. All right.
Also, Hawaii Shakespeare Festival. They are kicking off their 2020 season tonight with As You Like It, directed by R. Kevin Doyle. So if you folks have the chance, please check them out at 7:30 tonight, Hawaii Standard Time. Tickets should be on sale on their website.
So Dylan, you're participating in the Shakespeare Festival this year as well, right?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
And do tell.
Oh, well, if you folks are interested in watching more of me, which hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully you have a life other than me. I'll be in Love's Labor's Lost, which is directed by Catherine Rothman, and I'll be playing Custard and Mariah. But if you want to see something really cool tonight, I'm also doing something tonight at 7:30 p.m. Improv HI will be doing another rap battle, and I will be participating in that as well.
All right. Yeah. Check it out. So how do they see that? One more time.
So if you go to Improv HI on their Facebook or their Instagram, they'll be sending out a live feed, and you'll be able to watch the improvised rap battle there, hosted by Annette Aga.
All right. Sounds good. What else? That it?
Yeah. So in heavier news, the amount of cases of COVID-19 that went up today in our nation was 77,000, with Hawaii having 23 new cases added, with 1 death reported. So there's a lot of stuff going on right now, and we just ask you folks to please stay safe, stay indoors as much as possible if you can, and if you're going outside, please wear a mask. And if you don't want to wear a mask, well, just try to social distance at least 6 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah, because we can get through this. We all just got to be safe and smart, and just, protect our friends and neighbors and really give them that aloha. So thank you, Dylan. Sounds good.
Thank you.
And, we've got a spectacular show today.
Oh, yes, we do.
It is, in spite of me being weird, we have a spectacular show. And we are just so delighted and honored to have these 2 guests here with us today. And this is kind of a precursor to the production that we'll be doing in May of Cambodian Rock Band.
Yeah.
And so we are so delighted to have the playwright from Cambodian Rock Band, Miss Lauren Yee, with us today. And so without further ado, I'm going to give her a little introduction.
All right.
Our first guest is playwright, screenwriter, and TV writer born and raised in San Francisco that currently lives in New York City. Her play, Cambodian Rock Band, with music by Dengue Fever and others, premiered at South Coast Rep in California and will be part of our 52nd season at MVT. Welcome to the show, Lauren Yee.
Hi, Kip. How's it going?
It's going great. How are you doing?
Doing all right. Yeah.
All right. How are things in New York?
I think New York is better than it was a couple months ago. I think everyone's trying to do their best, wear masks, stay safe. As you said, protect our neighbors and those we love. So we're all just trying to do our part. But you miss theater. I don't know how you guys have been, but I'm hoping we all do our part so we can be back in a space together soon.
Yeah, and the more caution that we take, the sooner we're going to be back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, short of a vaccine, that's what we got to do.
Yeah.
Well, wow. Yes, I do miss theater so bad.
Yeah.
So bad. I watched the Hamilton stream last weekend, and as soon as it started, man, I turned to my wife and I said, I so miss this.
Yeah, because it's not just seeing the Hamilton stream, but it's it's before the show when you're you have that anticipation of the curtain's going to go up and what's going to happen, or intermission. When the show breaks and you're like, oh my God, what are we in for? So.
Yeah. All right. Well, you're gonna get me all misty.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about you, about where you're from, how you got into theater. Are you just writing, or do you perform as well? Just kind of take us down that road.
Yeah. So I like to say that I only have one superpower. I'm always very impressed when I meet people who are writers and performers. and directors. I only do one thing, which is write stories for other people to perform. And I think I've always just been interested in being a storyteller, um, and just being able to put those worlds together in a way that the playwright, like, you create the blueprint, and
Right.
you give those blueprints to other people, and frequently you give them to different groups of people, and part of the joy is being able to see what they come up with and how they interpret it differently.
Oh, that's that's so
Yeah.
true, and I love it that you appreciate that, because
Yeah.
I've certainly worked with playwrights or composers
Hmm.
who, they have a thing in their head and they
Hmm.
just don't want it to vary, and that's really great. So was there one moment or something that
Hmm.
kind of led you to start writing stories?
Uh, I don't know if there was like one moment in particular, but I do remember like one of my earliest experiences writing a play.
Mm.
I think I was in high school, and it was I was not a drama kid. I didn't like go to a lot of theater, but I think there was a playwriting contest at Asian American Theater Company in San Francisco, and they were looking for like 10-minute plays, and just kind of I was like, oh, I think I can write a play. And so I wrote one, and they were doing readings of them, and it was like my first experience, and we were just all sitting around a very large table reading it out loud, and I was like, oh, this is what theater is, that you don't have to have
Mm.
sets or lighting. As long as you have other people with you, kind of it lifts itself off the page. And I think that's like where one of the moments where I fell in love with like live performance.
Wow, that's really beautiful. I
Yeah.
wish I had your gift, your
Mhm.
eloquence. It's just really lovely how you explain that. Can you tell us kind of what was the genesis, and how
Mhm.
did Cambodian Rock Band happen?
Yeah. So, uh, almost about 10 years ago, I was in grad school in San Diego, and I was dragged to this music festival by a friend who was like, I'm going to go see my favorite band play. And I didn't know anything about the band or what we were going to listen to, but it's that great experience of what happens when you hear music and you're just completely enveloped. If you're just like, I don't know who these people are, but I want more. And that's what happened when I heard Dengue Fever, because if you've ever seen a live show by them, just their music is so engaging and fun and different but familiar.
Yeah.
And so I went down this rabbit hole of learning where their music comes from and inspired by, which is um, kind of classic Cambodian oldies of the 60s and 70s. Like, if you think about American music of that era, Cambodia had its own similar but very unique music scene, that kind of sadly hit up against the Khmer Rouge regime, who kind of sought to eliminate all artists, all music, when they took over the country. So it's just like you had this like wild music scene that was almost successfully stamped out by
Mm.
an oppressive regime. And so for a long time, like, I really wanted to figure out what to do with that story, and I was fascinated by it, as someone who came to it as an outsider. Like, I'm not Cambodian American, and so this was history that I really didn't know growing up. And in 2015, I got commissioned by South Coast Rep to write a play for them, and I could write about anything, but the commission started with 2 weeks of research,
Mm.
I researched all sorts of things: malls, food courts, churches. And on my very last day, doing research, I met a very special someone who's going to be your second guest for today. But he was an integral part of really introducing
Mm.
me and kind of being a guide to some of this history. And so I'm very grateful and very excited you're going to get to talk with him.
Well, that's kind of just a fantastic like transition. So Dylan, why don't you bring Shawn out? There we go.
Hello, everybody.
Hi,
Welcome.
Shawn.
Welcome, Shawn. So joining us is a community activist, poet, and writer. He was born in the killing fields of Cambodia in 1974. He immigrated to Oahu as a child, where he grew up in Kalihi Valley and attended Farrington High School. He's here to share with us his story and the story of Lauren and Shawn. And welcome to the show, Shawn S. Chan.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate you guys, and good to see everybody. How's everybody in quarantine? I had my mask, but I realized we're doing this virtually.
That's right. That's right. Okay, and just keep 6 feet away from the camera. All right. So okay, so the two of you guys meet, and then go ahead from there.
Well, she went to the music festival. She got a little bit of the culture. I was introduced by somebody said, "Oh, there's a playwright that wants to meet you. She's doing, some research and of course, if you're in California and you're doing research on Cambodians, you have to be where, Lauren? In Long Beach.
Yeah.
Long Beach.
Yeah.
Is like the capital of Cambodia outside of the country itself. We have the largest Cambodian community outside of the country. There's even a designated section of Long Beach that's designated as Cambodia Town. You come off the freeway, there's a sign that says "Welcome to Cambodian Town," and that's the first Cambodian town in the United States. So that she came to Long Beach looking for some Cambodians, and she met Mr. Cambodia. We've been friends ever since, and I appreciate her honesty, her work. She really was trying to get to know the culture, and she wanted to make it as authentic as she can, being an outsider. Sometimes that's the best view. Looking from the inside, maybe you're too involved in the genocide, and you can't see the good opposed to what we went through. So she found music helped us get through, and then she wrote a wonderful play.
Wow!
So I was glad to help her.
So Lauren, that must have been just like almost epiphanal to have that kind of firsthand connection. What do you think what were the things that you took away from that really, really kind of shaped what you wrote? And one other question, is the story based on actual persons, or is this your creation based on the whole situation?
Yeah. Just to answer your question about the story itself, so that in the show, there is one character that's based on a real life historical figure. And then as for the rest of the characters, I think there's nobody in particular that this is kind of based on the life of. I would say there are kind of aspects and parts of the characters that that you can kind of connect to people. Like the first actor who embodied the lead role of Choom, his parents are from Bantabang, and there's a lot of, I would say there's a sense of joy and life in that character that I think is channeled a lot from Joe's parents. So it's bits and pieces rather than being kind of like a biography of a specific person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you spend some time in Cambodia as in part of your research?
So I actually was there. I visited in 2011, and it was actually just not specifically for research for the play, but actually just part of like a larger trip through Southeast Asia.
Yeah. Okay. I have to echo what you said about the music and dengue fever, because I've been just wearing this out.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic.
They're great.
So any of you guys, I mean, if you're out there, go check it out. Cambodian Rock Band, the cast recording is just fantastic. So what do you think were the most surprising things or ways that meeting Shawn and having his perspective changed what you were going to write?
That's a great question. And Shawn should chime in about what that was like too. Yeah. I think one thing that I was just really struck with was I think the sense of trust and hospitality right off the bat, because the way that I met Shawn was through this Cambodian music festival that he helped organize, specifically through the MC, Rithi Han, who I literally approached during the festival, and I was like, hey, you're just a really great positive presence and you seem to know everyone. Can we talk? And he was like, sure. And not only that, but when we went to dinner, you know, he brought Shawn kind of as one of the people, you know, I needed to meet. I think probably partially because, you know, Shawn's like such a leader, you know, in Long Beach in the community. And so like I just really appreciated that.
Okay. So Shawn, what did, I mean, tell us some about your experience
Well,
coming from Cambodia and
when
go ahead.
when I met Lauren, when Rithi introduced, I was a little hesitant because it's like, wait, she's Cambodian, she's writing a play about Cambodia. Is she Cambodian? They're like, no, she's not. She's Chinese American. So in the beginning, I was a little standoffish. I was like, what, you know, is she gonna exploit us? Is it gonna be like something that we're not gonna be proud of? You know, kind of a stereotypical Asian Cambodian, you know, story that we're not probably particularly going to be proud of. But when I got to meet her, I got to talk to her, and the excitement that she explained to you about her dengue fever, and then she wanted to learn more. So once it took about 10 minutes when I realized, like, you know what? Then I said, you're coming with us tonight. And I think we spent, we started out like afternoon lunch, and then we went almost 24 hours. I took her to like 3 or 4 different parties, met everybody. So, but and then I learned more about what she was doing, and then the idea behind it, with the backdrop of the killing fields, set to music and a band, and the different personalities, and then what the war did to them. It's a great concept. It's reality splash with humanity, some laughter, a lot of music, and then you got the genocide. So you get a little bit of everything, and she worked it out. You know, there's moments where people laugh, and this is a play with the you know, the killing fields as the backdrop, and she found moments to touch you with a little laughter, a little humanity, and then got to dancing too. So I mean, that takes talent. So Lauren, I commend you for writing this wonderful play. And I was talking to her about 2 years ago. I said, I hope it comes to Hawaii. So when I mean, things just happen for a reason. And Kip, great meeting you too. So we're going to continue this positivity and spread this Cambodian rock band, dengue fever music to Hawaii and possibly across the world. So glad to be a part of it.
So
now,
Shawn,
what was the question? I forgot.
So Shawn, take us back to your childhood, growing up there, and give us the flavor that's important for us to understand, to fully appreciate what Lauren's done. Yeah. Just talk about your experience.
Well, the fall of Cambodia was April 17th, 1975. I was born 2 days after that. My mom was just a young mother, and so I wasn't supposed to make it. You know, she had nothing to feed me. I was in the concentration camp. She was starving. So, and I was just an infant, and we spent 5 years in the concentration camp before, and almost 2 million people died in a country of about 6-7 million. So almost half of the population was killed due to this war. And somehow we had a cousin here on island in Oahu. We got sponsored. We made it to the UN sanctioned camps in Thailand. And once you make it there, if you have family members all over the world, the borders would open up. And so I had a cousin here in Hawaii, and that's how I ended up here. So it was from the depths of hell to paradise. You know, one day I was starving, and the next day I was in paradise in Hawaii. So, and I was about 5 or 6 years old, and learning the language and So I really am. I get a little bit of both cultures. I love America. I've never actually even been back to Cambodia. So at this point, I'm more American than I am Cambodia. But I always know that stories because of what my mom told me, and her PTSD, her dreams and nightmares that she has.
So she's still with you, right?
Yes, I live with her. I take care of her.
Wow.
In Hawaii.
That's amazing. These kind of events, they the ripple effect, it just keeps going, throughout generations. And that was one of the things that appealed to me about the play when I first read it, was I thought this is a story that really needs to be told. And and Lauren, thank you for writing that. So also, you're Shawn, you're really involved as a community activist, or so kind of talk to us a little bit about that and why that's so important in the Cambodian American community there.
Yeah, well, the disconnect between the generations, the kids that grew up in America, and then the parents that who just came from survived the war. So they have undiagnosed PTSD, undiagnosed mental conditions, and so the kids are growing up here, learning the language, learning the culture, the freedoms, and then the parents are not catching up to the American way of life, and they don't understand why. They don't understand the music, they barely understand the language, and pretty soon the kids stop talking to the parents, and then the kids are running the street. And when we moved from here from Hawaii to Long Beach, when my dad passed away, I saw that the kids in Long Beach were actually raising themselves because the parents there was a disconnect. You couldn't talk. There was nothing the kids could go to the parents about, because all the parents would just say, just go to school. You're lucky to be here. Just go to school. They didn't understand, like, I needed cool clothes. They didn't understand that you can't, you have to dress a certain way. You have to be cool in school. You can't just wear, raggedy clothes and go to school. And so after a while, there's this disconnect. And then for me, I just felt like I could still speak the language, and I could bridge the gap, bring the older generation down, and lift the younger generation up and close that gap. Because without that, pretty soon, I noticed the Cambodian kids, they don't even want to learn the language. They're like, we don't even need it. And then I tell parents, like, why don't you teach it to the kids? They don't want to leave. They don't want to listen. And so for me, I just felt like we're going to be a lost culture here in America if somebody doesn't step up and kind of make it cool to be Cambodian, kind of make it cool to music. And that's where dengue fever comes in.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure you could appreciate it, even though you don't probably understand the lyrics, the melody and everything keeps it together. So they made being Cambodian cool, and Lauren helped with that.
So Shawn, what did you use? I mean, what things or platforms or medium are you using to help bring the two generations together?
I would bring local businessmen. Like, I'll have there's a tattoo artist that's really good, but the older generation, they don't want anything to do with the tattoo artist, and the kids look up to the tattoo artist. So I try to connect that as say, hey, you know what? Even if they don't understand the work, you're still a businessman. You let them know you grew up learning this. It's not it's something that they frown upon, but doesn't mean that you're a bad person. And so what I do is just try to connect everybody together and bring them to a common ground. Like, you cannot just ignore the young people just because he has a piercing, he has a tattoo, he doesn't bow, because in Cambodian culture, the older generation are a little, they're I don't know the word, where if you don't show them respect, they're not going to talk to you. They judge you by how you act. But if a kid has never been taught that, he's not going to come into the room and bow at you. He's going to say, hi, uncle, or what's up? And then they take that as a form of like the kid has no manners, and the kid is like, I want to say hi, but this is how I say hi, like, you know.
Yeah.
So I bridge the gap to where I said, next time you see an older person, just say "Jadi Abdul," and watch how the older generation lights up. And I tell the older generation, when the kids say "What's up," just say, "Nice to meet you, young man, but this is how you should say hello to us," and open the dialogue up, and that's where I come in.
Shawn, that's great. That's truly God's work, because that's, those divides are so hard. I mean, with my girls, I think, oh my gosh, sometimes like, what? You've got to be kidding. Where did you come up with that? But
you need Shawn in your life, to like bridge it.
Shawn and I have already decided we're gonna be in each other's lives. So that's all right.
And see, you see that, and that's with just growing up here and have a generation divide. Now imagine that, plus being from another country, plus being a war survivor, plus experiencing death. And so the parents, they sometimes they just shut off, and then they feel like they're bad parents. My mom, to this day, she still blames herself for some of the bad decisions that I made as a teen.
That's parenthood, my friend. So Lauren, what do you want? What is the takeaway you want people to come away from the Cambodian rock band with?
I think a couple things. If you fell in love with the music, that would be amazing. That if, no matter whether it's music you've never heard of or music you deeply know, that we're able to present it in a way that you're like, this is like, I'm just a fan of it. And I think the other part of it is like when I think of who this show is for, that like, I think everyone should see the show, but sometimes it helps to be like, okay, who is the person that I'm imagining in the audience, if it was just an audience of one person. And I think to me, it's for a second generation Cambodian American kid who may not know the way to ask their parents about what happened, or how to learn about their parents and also share who they are with their parents. And so I think like hopefully that's something that the piece achieves in this production, and I think that's something that like everyone can relate to, of like, who were my parents before they had me, and like what kind of life did they live.
Wow, that's great. Well, you've got me on the music. It's already done. Listen, thank you guys both for being with us. I have one final question. What is the first thing you're going to do when all of this is over? What's the thing you're waiting to do?
Yeah, I'm going to go to San Francisco, see my family. I miss them a lot.
Yeah. Shawn?
I'm going to probably go to California, go to Long Beach, and see some of my old friends too. So basically it's just to connect with people and maybe give people that you haven't seen, you appreciate hugs more. That's what I miss about in this quarantine is just seeing, even if you go somewhere and you see somebody that you recognize and it's like you want to hug them but you don't know how, so it's just, and then if they're reaching to hug you don't, it's a weird thing now, and especially in Hawaii, we're touchy-feely. Hawaii, we sometimes don't even shake hands. We just, as soon as we see you, we hug you. And so it's that's all. I just want to go and then just hug some people I know in Long Beach.
Well, that certainly is what I think the theater is about, and about sharing these human stories so that we corporately as a group are experiencing this together, and that togetherness. And boy, do I miss that togetherness.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Lauren Yee, the playwright of Cambodian Rock Band, and Shawn S. Chan, a good friend of hers and a great influence in the creation of this piece. We've been so lucky. Dylan, come back out.
Yo, yo.
Yay, Dylan.
Hi, Dylan.
Hello. Yes, I'm super excited for Cambodian Rock Band. Like, as soon as you folks start talking about the music, I've been playing that kind of nonstop almost. It's great.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, Shawn, do you perform?
I do spoken word. That's I write and I do a lot of poetry. I do spoken word. So I need to put on showcases throughout Long Beach. So
all right.
That's on it. That's about it. I can't carry a tune unless I'm in the shower, and but other than that, I can't carry a tune.
Well, maybe we can get you out here sometime, and you can stay with friends and stuff, and maybe you can be on our stage. We'd love to have that.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. Looking forward to meeting everybody in person. So,
all right, Dylan, wrap us up.
All right. Well, thank you, folks, for staying with us, and thank you to Shawn and Lauren. We're super stoked for Cambodian Rock Band that will be happening in our next season, the 52nd season of Manoa Valley Theater. Thank you, everyone, and you folks have a wonderful weekend.
All right.
aloha.
Aloha.
Right.
Aloha.
With that,